I'm Tracy, 72, sitting here in my sunroom, watching my 9-year-old grandson Leo help me with the herb garden we planted together. I'm filled with a sense of peace and contentment that I haven't felt in years. But it wasn't always like this. There was a time when my family treated me like a burden, a relic of the past with no value. It all came to a head during a family trip to a cabin in the mountains. I remember sitting on the porch, watching Leo play with his toy airplanes, when my daughter-in-law, Ava, shattered the peaceful moment with her shrill voice. "She's not your real grandma, Leo," she yelled. The words cut through me like a knife, but instead of the pain I expected, I felt a strange sense of relief. After 3 years of pretending to be poor and dependent, I finally had the confirmation I'd been waiting for. As I watched Ava and my son, Ethan, dismiss me and try to manipulate Leo's perception of me, I knew it was time to end the charade. That evening, I prepared a feast fit for a king, using ingredients that reflected my true wealth rather than my supposed poverty. When we sat down to dinner, I could see the confusion and suspicion on their faces as they tasted the delicious food. I took a deep breath and decided it was time to reveal the truth. "You've all been operating under some significant misunderstandings about my situation," I said. I pulled out a tablet and showed them the summary page of my investment portfolio, which now totaled over $55 million thanks to some smart investments in the tech sector. Ava's face went white as a sheet. "You're lying," she stammered. "This is some kind of cruel joke." Ethan just stared at me in shock, his mouth hanging open. I calmly explained that I'd been conducting a 3-year test to see who they really were when they thought I had nothing to offer. And unfortunately for them, they'd failed spectacularly. Ava couldn't handle the truth. She stood up, her chair toppling backward, and started yelling at me. "You can't just lie to your family for 3 years and then act like we're the villains," she screeched. But I wasn't going to let her deflect the blame. I reminded her of all the times she'd treated me like an unwanted guest, of how she'd systematically tried to erase me from Leo's life. In the heat of the argument, Ava fainted right there at the table. Ethan rushed to her side, while Leo looked at me with wide, frightened eyes. I remained calm, finishing my wine as if nothing had happened. After 3 years of their cruelty, I felt nothing but satisfaction watching their world crumble around them. When Ava regained consciousness, I laid out my terms. I'd made a revised will, leaving my estate in trust for Leo until his 25th birthday. The trustees would be my attorney and a financial management company, not family members. There were also conditions. If either Ethan or Ava tried to poison Leo against me or damage our relationship, the money would go to charity. I also announced that I was moving. I'd purchased a house about 2 hours away, close enough for regular visits with Leo, but far enough to maintain my independence. I told them that if they wanted a relationship with me, they'd have to earn it. Ethan and Ava were devastated. They realized that their actions had cost them any chance of inheriting my wealth. But I wasn't about to let them off the hook. I needed them to understand the true meaning of family and respect. Looking back, I know that my decision to conduct the test was a risky one. But I couldn't stand by and watch as my family turned their backs on me. I needed to know who they really were, and I'm glad I did. Now, 6 months later, things have changed. Ethan visits every other weekend, sometimes bringing Ava. She's still struggling to come to terms with the new dynamic, but she's learning to treat me with respect. And Leo, well, he's the light of my life. Free from Ava's influence, our relationship has blossomed. He spends every other weekend with me, learning about our family history and helping me in the garden. As I watch Leo carefully transplanting a thyme seedling, I can't help but smile. "Nana, Mom says you're really rich. Is that true?" he asks, looking up at me with his big, innocent eyes. "I am, sweetheart," I reply. "But does that change anything between us?" He thinks for a moment and then shakes his head. "No. You're still the same Nana who builds airplane castles and makes the best cookies." I hug him tightly, my heart swelling with love. "You're absolutely right, Leo. Money doesn't change who we are inside. It just sometimes reveals who other people really are." The test is over, and the results are permanent. I've learned who my true family is, and I'm finally where I belong. I'm Tracy, 72, and I'm happier than I've ever been.